Come on. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening to Meaningless, where we look into memes to find out whether or not they are, in fact, meaningless. Today, I have a special guest. His name is Weston. Weston, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, and go ahead and plug anything you want to plug.
You might know me from an eclectic number of things. I'm Weston Hasty. I have a website. I'm going to shoot that first because it lists all the things that I do. So at westonhasty.com, you can find kind of like everything I do. You can see me on Twitter. I've written a little poetry book on Amazon. But if you're into gaming, the thing that I'm most well known for is my YouTube channel, MagicManMo, where I'm especially known for playing strange point-and-click adventure games or Flash games from the days before Flash was brutally murdered by Adobe. I've been featured on a couple of different podcasts and games here and there. So you might know me as MagicManMo, or you might know me as Weston Hasty. And I have a podcast as well. I'm going to go ahead and just plug my podcast as well, called Profoundish. I do with a buddy of mine, Alex Duquette, who's known for his music. And we just we talk about a variety of topics, and we play some kind of game in the back half of the podcast episode, kind of related to that topic. So I kind of do several different random things. And then here lately now I have been invited onto Meaningless, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And I'm excited to have you on too. And so Weston, Spaghetti Weston, all quiet on the Weston front.
Spaghetti Weston. I do enjoy myself a spaghetti. I've never been called Spaghetti Weston though before. That one's pretty good.
I have a meme for you to look at. And the tradition on this show is that we have the guest describe the meme and how it reads. And
okay,
I'm going to warn you ahead of time. This is an asshole meme. It's not a pleasant one. So I'll go ahead and send it to you now.
I eagerly, oh boy, her tatas are censored. This is what you miss when you shop online. This is true. You know what? This is true, actually. Maybe you remember this. Maybe listeners out there remember this. Do you all remember a website? I think it was a website, but the peopleofwalmart.com, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You guys remember the People of Walmart? Or yeah, when you shop online, you don't get to see the craziest kinds of people, their outfits, the strangest behaviors. But anyway, what I'm looking at on this meme, of course, is this lady hunched over. I'm not sure what she's purchasing, some kind of kitchen gadgets. And her top has slid forward, and she's wearing nothing underneath it. And so we've got a full underboob situation in this meme.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, sure. Breasts are exposed, and somebody's been kind enough to put a couple emojis over it.
Very kind. Would have been very rude to take. Don't take nudie pictures of people in public. You can get a lot of trouble doing that.
Yeah, and it's also just not a cool thing to do.
No. I do wonder, though, in talking about memes and like internet and internet culture, I do almost wonder with a picture like this, and this is maybe just my like TikTok brain working, where you wonder, is this a setup? Does she have a friend or partner taking this picture? Like, I'm gonna bend over like I'm grabbing this, and we're gonna get like a compromising photo, and we're gonna turn it into a meme or something. I'm at the stage now where I don't trust anything is organic or real on the internet. I just assume everything's staged.
Yeah, and we're actually gonna talk about that here too, because and this is the one thing I wanted to point out is that in the image, it looks as if the person taking the photo is the one driving the cart.
Right.
And the cart is very close to the woman being photographed, which I think it indicates it's either staged or it's maybe her husband or boyfriend messing with her, Otherwise, I don't think that they would be, I don't know, you'd have to be pretty dumb to get this close to a person and try to sneak some private.
Sheer audacity. Yeah, the sheer audacity a stranger would have to be to walk up and take this shot from this angle at this distance. The sheer audacity.
Just how brazen you got to be to just walk up. And if it's not staged, I hope that the person who took the photo had their sound on, and it made that little camera that camera noise. as he took the photo.
The shutter sound, since no phones actually have a shutter anymore, the clunk.
But the photograph is public now. So some shady shit at some point may have happened. But the suggestion is that being able to peep behind women's clothing is a reason to go to the grocery store, which is but it's a problematic idea already.
If that's the reason you're going to the grocery store, I worry for you.
Do you remember well, I mean, we wouldn't remember it, but there was a show called Supermarket Sweep.
Supermarket
Yeah,
Sweep. It's not
it's
ringing a
like
bell. Well, I'll see if I can find it.
it would
Right.
rerun on the Game Show Network, I think. And it was this old show from like the 80s or 70s where people would run through the store and they would just sweep everything they could off the shelves, and collect as much as they can within within the time, and whoever collected the most dollar amount won their whatever it is that they grabbed off the shelves.
It's like guys' grocery games, but with none of the cooking part.
Yeah, and this that's why I titled this Supermarket Creep, because like you go there for the
The Supermarket Creep. That could actually be a show in its own right, where it wouldn't be like a game show, but it would be a literal reality show of just this creepy guy going to the grocery stores trying to get the choicest peeks at people, but then like mishaps ensue where this guy, I imagine it's like the Ed, and Eddie, but like where they are trying to get the jawbreaker, but then something happens and you never quite get the jawbreaker, right?
So
The Supermarket
he's
Creep.
so he's always trying to sneak the photo, but there's something foils him every time. Like in this,
He's getting like beat up or arrested or something every episode.
or like in this photo, like a falcon flies by and blocks her boobs right as he takes the picture.
It'd be better if every time a photo gets blocked by a bird, it's a different version of a tit.
Yeah,
That's a kind of bird.
yeah.
Just as an extra inside pun there. That'd be
That'd be
great.
fantastic. Like only bird watchers will get this joke. But gosh, I'm trying to.
Oh, that would be that. I would give that a shot. I also need to give Supermarket Sweep a shot. Apparently, it released in 1965.
Wow.
That show's 60 years old now. I don't know. That's what I'm seeing right now. So it's 1965 game show, 5 seasons. This is a 60-year-old show.
Jeez.
Crazy.
That is crazy. I knew it was before our time, but I just, I wasn't sure how far before our time.
Barely behind my time. I do turn 60 this year. No.
Let's.
Could you? I would be in really great shape. This is what I looked like and felt like at 60.
So the fact that this picture is now public, I feel like suggests that something shady happened, even if it were somebody playing a prank on their girlfriend or whatever. But I have a couple of stories that are kind of connected with this. But before I get to the perverted parts, I want to discuss the substance of the meme and the caption. So we have some creep taking a photo of the woman's breasts just because they're visible, and suggests that this is just what the rest of us miss out on when we shop online. And Weston, you know what?
Yeah, what do I know?
It's really too bad that there's nowhere online to see boobs.
There's not. I've looked as hard as I can everywhere. High and low have I searched for boobs on the internet, and I'll tell you, I'll be the first to tell you they are not out there. They don't exist.
I've not seen nip number one. Like there's not a single boob on the internet. Yep.
Not a one.
This,
You have to go to the supermarket.
If you want to see tits, you go to the grocery store. That's the rule.
Yeah. If there's anything Supermarket Creep, the hit 2025 TV show has ever taught me, that's it.
Oh, wait a minute, Weston.
Yeah,
You know where I found this picture?
Where did you find this picture? Did you take the picture?
I did.
Plot twist.
It was me the whole time. The creep is coming from inside the house. So I didn't receive this photo in an envelope. It wasn't handed to me along with one of those little orange Bibles. It was posted on Facebook, and then someone else shared it on Reddit. So
This does look like it would be a Facebook post to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like this feels like something that I would have definitely seen on Facebook. Not Not lately. Like this feels like an old meme. I feel like I would have seen this on Facebook a decade ago for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
kind of how I felt too, but the guy who posted it very recently on, Reddit and said that his uncle had shared it, and I've got a
Sure.
friend. I don't use Facebook, but I have a friend who uses it, and he follows a lot of embarrassing people and just sends me screenshots of some of what they post, and it's this absurd crap is still getting posted.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a lot of old memes now because there's like a new generation of internet users that haven't seen them all. They're like being recycled. A lot of old stuff that I know I see it sometimes on X or Facebook or wherever. It's like, hold on a second. I've seen this before years ago. I've already seen this. Everyone's acting like this is the first time they've seen it. And then you're like, oh, you're right. All these people are younger than me. They
Yeah,
haven't seen
you know,
it.
and that's like this is only tangentially related to that. The whole, when somebody just out and spoils a movie and they're like, "Oh, it's been out for 15 years." It's like, yeah, some people are 14, you know? Like it's
Right. Or some people just are chronically out of
Mhm.
the loop. What was I listening to? I don't remember. Someone was talking about the like spoiling some I can't remember what the movie was. I literally can't. But it was a movie that did come out like 20 years ago. And the assertion was that it was okay to spoil it because everyone knows what it's about. Everyone knows what it's about and the plot premise
Yeah.
and the twist. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Granted, I don't watch a lot of movies in general, but I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the assertion and assumption that everyone has seen everything that you have is one that more like is less and less true on the internet because everyone has their own bubbles and their own
Yeah.
niches. So what you assume everyone's seen is not what everyone
Right.
has
And
seen. But
there's such a huge collection of entertainment now that there are probably things that you would absolutely love. Like you may not have seen your favorite show yet, and it could have been out for 10 years, and you would have no idea.
that's true.
Um, anyway, back on track here.
I'm very
I
good at
uh,
going off
I
track.
did
You
not
can
take
blame
my
me.
ADD meds this morning, so
I don't have ADD, and I'm gonna hurt your
it's
ADD so bad.
it's
We're gonna
gonna
be
be
all over the
bad.
place.
It's gonna be. I can already feel you being a bad influence on my attention deficit disorder. So,
On track with the boobies, though.
yes,
Where
yes,
were
back
we?
the fact that you have to go out shopping in order to see breasts. So, one of the first things that I would like to point out is that most healthy people would gladly miss out on peeping on strangers. Like, I don't see, like.
Well, it is a little bit. I think there is a and I don't know how normalized this is, or maybe that's not even the right word. I do think that plenty of people, when you're out and about, it's not why you go out and about, but while you're out and about, surrounded by a lot of people, I don't think it's that weird to people watch. Now, what you're watching for might vary from person to person. You might, oh, there's these two people talking to each other, and you catch like a whiff of the
Yeah.
conversation, and you're like, I wonder what they're talking about, what they're doing. Or you see like someone or a few people dressed strangely, and you're like, is there an event or a convention going on? And like, I think the people watching aspect of going out, even beyond the whole like, maybe a well endowed woman wearing a skimpy dress, or a guy who's like chiseled and yet, oh,
Yeah.
those biceps or what. But even beyond the sexual aspect of it, I think to go out and be surrounded by a lot of people is to surround yourself in the people watching experience for many people. I think very few people just keep their head down and look at no one,
Yeah.
interact with no
Yeah.
one. I'm sure people do that, but I think for a lot, the people watching aspect is an aspect of going out, regardless of why you went out to
Right.
begin
Yeah,
with.
absolutely. And I'll be the first to say that I do love to people watch, and I do love those like obiter dictums you kind of hear in passing, where they'll say something and you're just wondering about the context. But
Malls used to be great for that. Just sit down at a bench at a mall and just watch
th-
watch people go
now
by.
it's like you don't hear a lot of those conversations anymore. People are like they could be in a group of like 17 and not a single person will be talking to each other.
Phones,
Mhm.
everyone's on their phone. Yeah.
So
But you still get a lot of people talking, so you still get it. But yeah.
So I'm gonna send you a link to a video. I just want you to watch the
Fine.
first 20 seconds of it, and then we'll discuss it.
20 seconds of video. Let's go. Let's go, gamers. All right. Oops, I have no sound. I've gone 20 seconds in, and this is man accused of taking pictures of woman's skirt at local supermarket. You know, in theme with the supermarket
Right.
creep, of course. And in the first 20 seconds, I've seen some security footage of what appears to be a man trying to do something behind this lady, presumably, yeah, the upskirting. And then I got a little bit of the reporter reporting on this. Did mention that this man has been, I don't remember what he said, accused or caught doing this in the past. So this is a serial
Yeah.
upskirter, if I am to understand
So
this
this
video.
is actually this story is ridiculous. This man, this very large man, allegedly was following this woman around the store prior to the clip, and once in line, he uses his camera to take pictures up her skirt. Then he takes his phone back, checks the photos on his phone right there, and then does retakes of photos under her skirt again. And, when she almost catches him in the act, it is his 4th attempt while standing right there in front of all the customers.
I feel like that this is not to be victim shaming at all. So this is not her fault that this man's doing. I mean, unless this is again like a crazy inside job and they actually orchestrated it. But not to victim blame here, but situational awareness for everyone, not just her, but the because it like you said, it's in front of other customers. The other customers, the cashier, all these people, situational awareness to like say something, do something, like it's wild to me that someone can get away with getting that beneath another individual and with their phone to take a unless you're wearing, like, a crazy skimpy skirt. I can't actually tell how long her skirt is in the security camera footage, but this guy is getting
Yeah, yeah.
down to take this picture, and he's not at a shelf where one needs to do that. So, just situational awareness, if you're, like, at the store and you're, like, looking around and someone's being, like, super strange, you just I don't know, keep your eyes open. I don't this is not victim blaming because obviously this guy is at fault for this, but I just can't figure out how people get away with it for as long as they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and
It's weird, it's wild to
and there's, the so I'll be going into kind of the psychology, of some of this, here in a moment, but, there are certain things where one example is, have you heard of the Genovese effect?
in a visa fat. I don't
So,
think so, no.
essentially, the more witnesses there are to an emergency or a crime, a lot of times the less likely they are to intervene or contact authorities.
Ah,
Um,
the
yeah,
bystander
yeah.
effect. Okay, I think I have heard
And
of
there's,
this. I didn't know the name
there
for
are a
it.
lot of
Okay.
different hypotheses on what exactly causes it. One of the bigger consensus is that everyone just assumes somebody else is going to do something, you know?
Yeah, it's that you look around like you're looking at everybody else trying to go like, "For real, is this happening?" But meanwhile, you're also like a part of the for lack of a better term, a part of the problem, like, you're also not do I kinda get I guess I'm the guy that breaks that mold because there's something broken in my brain where it's like, "Now hold on a sec, what
Yeah, yeah.
excuse me, sir. The heck?
It's
What is
it's
it?
because
What are we doing?" So, I guess maybe that's I'm broken in that way, but
yeah,
yeah,
and
you're
it's
right,
because of my
okay.
education in psychology that I tend to intervene in things, because I understand that not everybody is going to approach things with very with
Because I definitely understand that the double take effect where if you see something first, you might not immediately react because you're like, "Wait, did I just see what I think I see?" And I could definitely see the sort of double
yeah,
take
yeah.
experience, but, I mean, if you are seeing a very obvious problem, I just feel like, how do you just ignore I mean, I guess some people are just
And
very much like, "I'm in my own lane, I don't wanna, be, because everyone's afraid of confrontation anymore. Everyone calls everything confrontation, but I'm very
yeah.
confrontational, so I guess
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm not afraid of confrontation, when it needs to be had. But this guy here, talking about situational awareness. So this is his fourth attempt while standing right there in front of everybody, and that's what gets him caught is because he's being so brazen about it. And after nearly being called out by the girl, he literally runs out of the store, leaving his groceries behind in the line. And so it's to quote, I'm going to quote WSB TV Atlanta, who covered this story. They said, "quote Police say he wasn't exactly discreet."
Well, like, as I'm looking at his security footage again, and he isn't. He has to because he's a bigger guy, and this is a lady of probably just normal size. So he's like having to get real low. He's doing this like left, right. He's looking around. He's scanning. He is like the most obviously
Yeah.
suspicious man. You know what I mean? Like out of a cartoon. And maybe that's why I was like, situational awareness. I'm like, I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, yeah, he looks skeevy as all get out. But I do have the bias of knowing now what he's
Right.
being
Yeah.
accused of. But yeah, watching him do his little trot out the door is kind of funny, but it's kind of sad because he did get so many photos of this woman, and it's what we were talking about with the booby picture. It's like, why are we doing this? You can go on the internet
Yeah.
and
Without
find
invading somebody else's
these things
privacy.
already.
Uh,
Which again, the upskirting, like obviously you shouldn't be looking for that on the internet because that's an invasion of privacy. But if what you're looking for is adult content, like there is consensual adult content in
yeah. Yeah.
droves on the internet, like
Millions
by
and
the
millions of
millions,
hours.
like
Like you're never gonna run out of
so
something to watch or to see. But
there has to be just something
yeah,
not
and
wired right in your brain to be the
yeah,
supermarket
for
creep.
this supermarket creep, the Brookhaven police believed that he had done this kind of thing before because of his brazen behavior.
I believe
So,
that.
what exactly in a person's mind excuses this behavior? I find it abhorrent and embarrassing. I don't know if there is just a bigger thrill involved or why people behave this way exactly, but any non consensual invasion like this is harmful behavior, which is why it's important to see public peeping as something that we should not be making light of like it's some silly human quirk. We should be condemning it. However,
Mm.
the psychology behind behaviors like this may be much more pervasive than most of us would like to believe. I've got a quote from Psychology Today. It says, quote, "Some experts suggest that given the opportunity, many people have voyeuristic tendencies, but are afraid to admit it or get caught." And the being afraid to admit it or being afraid of getting caught does like that public shaming does help contribute to a reduction in this type of harmful behavior. But to continue the quote, a voyeuristic disorder may stem from an accidental sighting of someone who is naked, disrobing, or participating in sexual activity. Continued viewing then reinforces and perpetuates the behavior to a point where it goes beyond what is considered culturally acceptable or normal and becomes pathological. Uh, so the pathology of voyeuristic disorder places it among what are called paraphilic disorders. Now, paraphilic disorders are often mistakenly referred to as any unusual sexual desires or behaviors, when in actuality, most people with unusual sexual interests do not have a disorder. In order to be classified as a disorder, I'm going to quote the American Psychological Association on the updates regarding paraphilic disorders in the DSM 5. And the DSM 5 requires that these interests make a person feel distress about their interest, not merely distress resulting in societal disapproval, or they have a sexual desire or behavior that involves another person's psychological distress, injury, or death, or a desire for sexual behaviors involving unwilling persons or persons unable to give legal consent. So, in voyeuristic disorder, It's that last part that comes into play that makes it potentially a disorder, and that is that a person who does not realize that you're invading their privacy cannot give consent because they don't have the knowledge that it's going on in the first place.
I guess it's like the taboo aspect. Like that's actually the driving force behind it, is the taboo aspect of not only wanting to see someone, but to see someone against their wishes.
Exactly right. Now, does that mean that all the people involved in this crap have a mental disorder? Not by any means. Not by any means. Our meme, for example, if it's not staged, it looks like someone saw a perverted opportunity and took it. And these memes, they get spread around on Facebook, normalizing this behavior when we should be doing the opposite. We shouldn't be looking at it as this little silly quirk that happens. We should be looking at it as a problematic behavior. And that brings me to a hero I would like to recognize. So I'm going to send you another clip. I think this one you just really need to watch the first like 10 seconds of it.
Sure.
Make sure you got sound on for this one.
Will do. I've watched about 15 seconds of it just because I wanted to not miss any more context here. But this video, so it's not security footage like the last one that we saw. It's very. This is where I think this feels staged, but it's clearly a woman that is in a skirt that's like kind of crouched over, like she's buying something off of a shelf in a kind of like, it looks like a Walmart or Target. Or I think it's a Target like section. And this guy walks up behind her, deep squat, slides his phone under her skirt as if he's taking a picture, but it looks like her face is blurred, but looking towards the camera. His face is unblurred, looking towards the camera. The camera is incredibly stable. And then after he does this thing, then whoever is behind the camera, a woman, calls him out, "Excuse me, sir," and confronts him. But like, I'm a little perplexed so far without any further context that like the stability and the angle and the setup of this kind of feels like it was either planned or set up. Or this guy must have been doing this many times for this lady to be able to get the camera angle she did.
Yeah, so what had happened when this woman got this footage, she had noticed that guy was following that girl around and was trying not to be seen by her. And so she became suspicious of his behavior because she thought he was, being a creep. And so she mounted her phone onto the seat part of her cart. And was not looking directly at him, but making sure the camera was always pointed toward him. And she catches him in the act here. And she noticed, so not only did she catch him in the act, but she also confronted the man. She ended up alerting store security and the police. The man was caught by police and identified as Thomas Elliott. Now, clearly, the man is acting like a pervert in this video, which makes it all the more concerning that he was an employee at a local church called the Open Door Church, and he was a volunteer at a local elementary school. Outdoor Church gave a statement to the local news saying that Elliott was fired immediately upon learning of this event. I would hope so. And a spokesperson for the local school system named Tom McClellan said, quote, "The individual will not be returning to our campuses as a volunteer or hired as an employee." So
it sounds like this was not a setup.
Yeah,
so that
is real. And I
it's something like this where like I'm like hoping it's set up, because then we can just like, because then we can all say, well, at least it didn't really happen. It's just they're trying to like get views or something. But no, if this is real, that's even more concerning, because, okay, apparently this person volunteers and goes to school and helps out this church. And meanwhile, he's doing this for some reason. I don't know. It goes back to your like voyeuristic disorder that you were talking about, where it's like there is clearly something not wired correctly. And it's weird because I'm looking at the footage and it really does look like this guy's looking right at the camera that this lady. So it's like, does he know he's being recorded and that's a part of the thrill for him? And he's like, I'm gonna do this on camera and get away with it. Like in their brains, are they in an action movie when they're doing
Yeah,
this?
no,
And it's hard. Do you know what I mean? Like,
get
what
what
is
you're
the thrill
saying,
and excitement?
and I think the reason why it looks so odd, like him looking directly toward the camera, is because you picture anytime somebody's being recorded, candidly, like you picture the person holding the camera and facing them, but she had it mounted on her cart and she was
Right.
looking the opposite direction, like you know, pretending to shop.
Oh, so he was probably just looking at
Yes, yeah,
her, making sure she would turn around,
trying to
probably.
not get caught, and so he was
Mm,
kind of keeping an eye
that
on
does make more
her,
sense.
in that situation. That's the impression I get now that because I had the same, concern that you did that it was staged, because everything on the internet's freaking fake, but, no, this did turn out to be,
Right.
real, and this type of behavior, while it doesn't make somebody predatorial toward children or anything like that, you still don't want somebody who is missing some of those inhibitions to be a volunteer at your elementary school. And but the last I read, police had not found any inappropriate pictures or contact with children, which is good news.
I mean, that's a relief, but that's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
well, this guy's still a creep. It's like, while it's a relief, it certainly doesn't exonerate
exactly,
him of
yeah.
what he has
And
done, but
this doesn't like it's I'm thankful that he's not another child molester as far as they've been able to find.
you do worry, like, that something like this, because the voyeuristic, angle that we're taking on this is that it's the non-consent part. So you're trying to exert some degree
Right.
of hidden power onto another, and children are being children, it's
Right.
very easy to take advantage of a child, which is why it's so horrifying when someone does. So you worry about someone like this who's, like, it clearly does not regard the consent and privacy of another human being. You worry, like, how far will they go? It goes back to the other footage of the guy that was, like, kind of scouting and being very brazen, and that's why they think he's done it before, because maybe he was sneakier before, but the more he gets away with it, the more brazen his actions can become. So someone like this, who knows? Maybe he's not done yet. Maybe he gets bored of this and moves
Yeah.
on to other targets. You really do worry that these people will spiral into worse and worse behavior, and they're already
Right. Yeah,
starting at a behavior that's not
absolutely.
good to begin with.
Absolutely true. And it's that escalation that is so unsettling. But just because he didn't have pictures of children on his phone does not mean he was on his best behavior during his occupational duties. Upon further investigation, detectives found that he had done the same thing to an employee at the church where he worked, leading to a second charge of felony peeping. So, in a church, mind you. Now, if this person were diagnosed with a
Right.
paraphilic disorder, some type of subjective distress can be a contributing factor. Sometimes it's like sexual abuse when the person's a child, or they feel shame and guilt. Shame and guilt are very common forms of subjective distress. And being a church member can sometimes put further pressure on those factors. Because a lot of sexual behaviors are taught to be shameful, and there's a specific way that you have to be, express yourself sexually. And so it can be a contributing factor to certain subjective distresses. There was I could not find the source for this interview. So listeners, if anybody can locate it, please email me the reference. I'd really appreciate it. But years ago, I watched this interview with it was some kind of religious leader. I think he was a priest, and he was talking about early in his religious career, he was having trouble with sexual thoughts, and he had been abstaining from any sexual activity, including masturbation. He said that the sexual tension continued to build up, making it more and more difficult for him each time he was alone, but had been successful as in not fapping, as the kids say. One day he was at a market or a store and ended up accidentally seeing a woman's skirt ride up a little high. And so he saw more than what was intended. He eventually found himself waiting around that same place, hoping to see it happen again. Because if it happened by chance, then it wasn't his fault, you know? And so he started to recognize this as a serious problem and went to his priest to confess about how he had been feeling. And his religious leader told him, just masturbate. Let yourself do it. He's like,
I
right.
was like, that seems like the answer there, right? It's like clearly you are going down a path that is going to end up invading other people's privacy. Well, just brother, you need to take care. Just go home in front of a
Yeah.
computer, take care of what you need to, and just right yourself. Get the hormones and the chemicals straight, like because clearly that was what was
Yeah,
going on. He was all
and
pent up.
so he did let himself do that, and he described it being like a major weight being lifted off of him, and that he felt more capable of helping his congregation without this psychological burden on himself. Now,
Yeah, because I can imagine that, like, he probably even beyond sexual release. I think the self, for lack of a better word, so the self discipline of him sort of trying to avoid, like, even the idea of
right,
having a
yeah,
thought was causing him distress, apparently. So he's putting all this stress on himself. So even beyond the actual desire itself, he's also stressing himself out. He's avoiding things that he clearly wants to do. So it's like, an extra level of I don't know, like he's being very restrictive for himself for something that you can actually achieve and acquire through consensual means. So like this is a thing that he could go do and be fine, but because he's refusing to, he's finding himself in a position where he's like actually being tempted by things that you shouldn't be doing. It's like there's an easy and obvious solution here and you're
yeah.
stressing yourself out over it. I think he just needed to
And then
talk to somebody
there
about this.
are it's the shame involved in like masturbating and things like that.
Yeah.
It's sometimes so strong that people don't want to listen to their religious leaders when they're told to, that to worry, there are bigger things to worry about. And I was surprised to find that many priests who practice celibacy do actually masturbate regularly. Of course, not everybody in the church is a fan of this, and especially since masturbation has been considered like a mortal sin by the Catholic Church for a very long time. And but When I was researching this, I was finding a lot of forums, Catholic forums, where people had gone to confession to confess that they had masturbated or that they've been tempted to, and they were very upset that, like one example was they went to confession and said that they had masturbated or were tempted to that week or whatever, and the priest or their priest responded with, "Well, what have you done for the poor lately? Like what how have you volunteered? How have you helped people? Basically suggesting that there are other things to worry about than masturbating. And the responses
Mm.
from almost all of these people I read in these forums were upset with their priests because they didn't think that the priests were taking masturbation seriously enough. And
I think this isn't. I think there's a we're talking about misinformation, right? I think there's a misinformation around what our leaders in the community, the church, etc., are really actually capable of handling. So you've got people coming to their church leaders thinking that they have a sin problem. They have a masturbation is sin problem. Whereas realistically speaking, that like the reason you might be feeling so bad about that, about masturbation, is because, well, that's a body issue. So, like, that's a hormone, a chemical, a body issue. It's like, okay, you talked to your priest, you didn't get the
Yeah.
answer you wanted. Have you talked to a doctor yet? Because turns out there's like a ton of actually really positive things that come along with masturbation. And if you don't, not everyone experiences this, but many people experience that if you don't have some kind of release, over time you become more
Yeah.
depressed, you become more anxious, you start having negative thoughts. So you're worried about all this sin and you're stressing yourself out. And it's like the answer is so obvious, but you're going to a church leader who's not a doctor. You're going to a church leader saying,
Yeah.
"What should I do
Yeah.
about my masturbation, priest?" And the priest is like, "This is not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's the
That's
priest gonna tell you, right?" So is he gonna give you medical advice? He's gonna be like, "Well, I'm a priest, and here at the church, we focus on helping the poor and the needy and the downtrodden. That's our focus.
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you about the touching yourself thing. I can forgive you for it if it's a sin in our religion. I can forgive you for that,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't know
And
what
that's
more you want from me."
yeah, and that's a good point too, is that sometimes we get our judgments clouded by so much else that we don't take care of ourselves properly, and in some cases that might be what led these people to do this behavior, you know? So as a society, we know that this non-consensual voyeuristic behavior is wrong. We wouldn't want these people working with our children. We wouldn't want them, we wouldn't want to be personally associated with them. And why then do we continue to treat non-consensual voyeurism as some silly thing people do, you know? Like, and this image isn't just found in this one meme. I want to show you. I'm gonna send you this. You really just have to look at the thumbnail. You don't even have to watch the video.
Okay. Oh, and the fact that you're saying you just have to look at the thumbnail, I think speaks to a lot of the issue that we're coming to is that the reason this stuff is so pervasive in media is because it gets clicks.
Yeah, yeah,
This looks
it's the
like it
same photo
literally the
flip.
same lady.
So you got by script back up here. So the image is being shamelessly used as clickbait for a video titled "Top New Comedy Funny Videos." Which I find absolutely nothing humorous about filming somebody's private parts without their consent. I don't think that's a funny thing. I don't think it's a quirky thing. You can like in fiction, certainly, you could maybe make some humor out of something like this in fiction, but in real life, we cannot continue to treat this type of behavior as just some silly thing that happened. So, Weston, what are your thoughts on memes like these?
I think media, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right word, but I don't know what it would be. Some kind of media literacy, some sort of internet media literacy and understanding of how you're being manipulated on the internet would go really far. And we talked about this earlier. I don't even remember if this was before we started recording or during, but we have a new wave of
Yeah,
people entering the internet for the first time all the time, right? Like, so there's always new people that aren't going to understand how this works. But on the internet, you are being manipulated to click on and view and interact with things all the time. So, like with this latest video you showed me, the top new comedy funny videos, it's this 10-minute
all right.
video where they just stolen content on the internet that is allegedly funny. Probably not, but it's little pranks or whatever it is. But the point is, the first thing you see if you're scrolling through YouTube is going to be that title, going to be that thumbnail. And you see in the thumbnail, you've got this under boob of this lady or whatever. And it goes back to that voyeurism. You might be sitting at home on your computer and you're like, well, what's the harm in clicking on this? No one knows that I'm partaking in this. If I feel guilty about clicking on this, I don't need to be. No one is here to see me. I want to see some underboob or whatever. But at the end of the day, like the video has nothing to do with the underboob. You've been manipulated into clicking on it because the video is relying on your
Yeah.
voyeuristic tendencies to do so. And for so long as people keep falling for that manipulation, for so long as people keep clicking on these things, they will keep appearing. Why do these memes keep getting reposted and shared all the time because people are reposting and sharing them. The more you view them, click on them, the more incentive it is to promote this behavior. So I think that might fall back to what you were saying about the research, that more people partake in this than you might realize. I think we should all realize
Right.
this because it's so pervasive on the internet. I know myself, I'm in the creative space on the internet. I'm on YouTube. I know titles, I know thumbnails. I get how all that works. So if I saw something like that on YouTube,
Right.
I know it's manipulation. I'm not going to click on it. I know what it is. I'm not dumb. But like there are plenty of people that also aren't dumb, but are completely clueless to how they're being manipulated on the internet. And at some point in time, that information needs to become more available if we're going to start seeing actual, I don't know, quality content made that actually gives you value in your life, as opposed to these sort of like potato chip content that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just mindless brain
Yeah,
rot.
and it's the
I don't know.
fact that they know they're gonna get clicks with this thumbnail also speaks to the normalization of this, you know, taking a photo like this. It also speaks to how little thought we put into things before we click them, you know? 'Cause it's easy to see something like
Oh
this and
yeah.
think, "Oh boy, her shirt's riding up, that's hilarious." But then you have to think, that's a human being, those are her private parts, and somebody's taking a picture of them in public, you know? And
I'm gonna throw in an extra. I just thought of this. I'm gonna throw in an extra 2 cents too, since we are talking about these memes being like bad for like culture, people, whatever. Since we're kind of talking about that, I do want to throw this out there. If you see something like this out in the wild, one of the worst things you could do is comment on it. People get like, oh, it's like, so you'll see a meme like
yeah,
this. Someone will comment, oh, this is bad. You shouldn't do this. If you comment on something, you're feeding the algorithm, and that's a good thing for the meme. So if I'm a troll on the internet and I post horrible crap on the internet and you're commenting on it, whatever algorithm you're on, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, it's going to promote it
right.
more because it's getting comments. So if you see anything that is, say, illegal, non-consensual, if it's bad, you can report. But the worst thing you can do is just comment trying to berate
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who doesn't care about being berated. So don't do like if I'm the troll posting this stuff, I don't care if you
Yeah,
hate
and
me
that's
because
and
I'm getting all this attention.
yeah,
So
absolutely, and then
I just wanted to say that.
I remember seeing a comment on one of those, far right, pages on Twitter where they make outrageous claims, that are clearly untrue, and somebody responded with, "This is just rage bait to get people, yeah, involved," and,
Mhm.
the account responded with a sunglasses emoji and a cigarette emoji, and it was yeah, that's clearly what we're doing. We are lying to people so that people who actually do care about the truth will be the ones boosting our algorithm so that we get seen by more people. So we're using you. We're using your rage against you.
Well, and especially when there's a monetary incentive to do so, because you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned far right. Again, this is a little bit my internet skepticism. Sometimes you'll see pages, because right now in the political divide, especially in the United States, whether you are apparently a far right, far left, or far whatever group on, say, on X, on Twitter or whatever, it's if I wanted, as just a yahoo, say I'm not politically interested in anything whatsoever. If I'm just some random yahoo and I get on Twitter and I'm like, how can I get, millions of impressions a month? Because if I buy Twitter Premium, if I buy X Premium and I get millions of impressions a month, I get paid money. What's going on in America right now? Oh, the United States is highly politicized. I'm going to create a fake far right profile or left, and I'm just going to say the most outrageous crap, and people will comment, and then people will get mad about the political affiliation. So I'm doing two things. One, I'm getting a rage bait attention that gets me impressions and gets me paid. And two, I'm perpetuating the political divide in America. And the more divided America remains, the more I three can now post more
Yeah.
pages, more content, more impressions, make more money. I can make dozens of accounts now that are all I could make a far right account and a far left account that fight each other on Twitter publicly. And now I've got people on my side on one account, on the other account, whatever, but I'm the same person. I'm just rage bait. Don't fall for the rage bait on these platforms. And so much of it is fake. So much of it is made up to make you mad and interact with it for money.
Absolutely. And they even the people who really strongly profess that they believe in what they believe, and they even come out with their real names and stamp their names on everything. A lot of that's fake as well, you know. Anyway, got a little off track there toward the end. But I want to thank you for being on. I had a great time, and hopefully we'll do it again soon. So
I like yapping. It was fun to be here. I had no idea. I was flying blind. I didn't know what we were going to be talking about today. And it was supermarket boobies.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.